you've ever said, I'm doing everything right, but I'm not seeing results, then you need to specifically listen. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name's Naomi, and if you are not new here, then welcome back, my friends. I'm so happy to have you. And welcome to my new series of starting a deficit and sticking to it. This is episode 3, and today I'm going to be going through 5 of the most common mistakes that I see as to why you are not sticking to your deficit. So we're going to go through what they are and how to fix them. And as always, if you have any questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will try my best to help and answer those. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel because it goes such a long way, and the majority of people that watch do not subscribe. We're in the cozy corner as usual, so this means we're going to school. Get your notepad, get your pens, and let's go into those mistakes that you're making and why you're not seeing results. Just as a refresher, I am a level 3 personal trainer, exercise referral. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in higher education in sports, physical activity and health. I've spent 10 years in the health and fitness space. I am a certified nutrition coach and transformation coach, so I know what I'm talking about, and these are the results that I get my clients. Let's get into it. The first reason why you're in a deficit but not seeing results is because maybe you're not actually in a deficit. Let me explain. So I am all about tracking the data, all about no second guessing. Use the data, use the science. Let's get in, let's get out. Okay, this is a very simple formula which doesn't make it easy, but it does mean that there's certain things that we will follow in order for you to get results. And the first thing is all about tracking the data. So the main things that I actually track and get my clients to track are steps, calories, carbs, fats, protein, water and sleep. How accurately are you tracking your data? So if you were a client that came to me and was like, I'm not seeing results, I would be like, well, how accurate on a scale of 1 to 10 would you say you've been tracking this week? With 1 being not tracking at all and 10 being everything was immaculately tracked to a T. Say if you came back to me and said, it's been a 6 out of 10. I've tracked mostly, but there have been a few meals that I haven't maybe tracked because I didn't know how to, or I had a bad day so I didn't track. I would say, okay, let's try and focus on making that a 7, 8 out of 10. What could you do differently next week to be a little bit more accurate in your tracking? Because one of the most common things I see is people only tracking the good stuff. They're only tracking the good days, where they've planned ahead, where they're on target, which is amazing. I am all about celebrating the wins and making sure we can highlight what we're doing well. But it's also really important to reflect and be mindful of those days where it doesn't go to plan. So for example, if we're looking at it in the sense of how we're tracking our data and we're going, yeah, I'm hitting my 1700 calorie deficit, amazing, amazing, amazing. And you get your average calories and it's 1700, but you didn't track your Friday night where you ordered a pizza and accidentally fell into the cupboard and ate a whole packet of biscuits. We've all been there. So therefore, instead of it, say, being a 2,400 daily average, it's saying 1,700. So as a coach's point of view, I'm thinking, okay, we're not seeing the results at 1,700. Let's just drop the calories slightly. But what that means is if you're not already sticking to that 1,700, and as a coach or yourself, you decrease it again because you think you're not seeing the results in 1,700 calories, it's going to make it even harder to stick to that because you weren't doing 1,700 in the first place, you were doing 2,400. Whereas if we just focused on being more accurate and precise at 1,700, you're more likely going to see those results. Does that make sense? So basically, you need to be tracking your good days, but you also need to be tracking your bad days. And sometimes it can be a little bit like, oh gosh, I don't want to admit that I've had XYZ food and it's, I've just had 800 calories worth of snacks. Sometimes you don't want to admit that, but it's actually a really useful tool to reflect. And just remember, there is no judgment. This is just data. This is just science. And with the data, we can then make the best decision for you in order to get your results quick. Another thing to make your tracking more accurate is to make sure that we're tracking sauces, salad dressings, cooking oils, coffees, drinks, the milks, the sugars in your teas. Make sure that when you are having foods such as potato, pasta, rice, meat, that you're tracking the cooked or the raw version. Make sure that whatever you've put in the MyFitnessPal is what you're actually measuring out, because cooked and raw will weigh different, and therefore they'll have different makeups of the protein and calories, etc. Number 2, are you training hard enough? Let's get into this. So if you wanted to see body composition changes, you wanted to look toned, lean, strong, you want that muscle to be coming through, we need to actually make sure that we are training for that. And this doesn't mean, please, please, please do not think that if you are training close to failure and you're training hard, that you are going to become bulky. That either comes with increased body fat when you look bulkier, or increased muscle mass. And in order for those two things to happen, you need to be in a surplus. So if you're in a deficit and you are training hard and training close to failure, you're not going to get bulky, I promise. Promise. We want to be making sure that we are training with intensity and intention, and make sure we are resistance training at least twice a week. And when we are in the gym and when we are lifting weights, it isn't just about lifting the weights, it's about how we lift them. So that will require progressive overload, where we're increasing reps, volume, weight, intensity, and we are training close to failure. Now that doesn't mean we can start to feel a little bit of the, ooh, it's feeling like it's burning. We want to be training close to failure. Now in a deficit, I wouldn't recommend training to failure because it is quite fatiguing. So I do recommend close to failure, so 2 to 3 reps from that. If you are somebody that's like, I have no idea what training to failure feels like, I would recommend doing this, and it's a good place to start on the machines where it's a little bit safer. So for example, like your leg extensions, or maybe like a chest press machine. Go until you physically cannot complete a rep, okay? So it's not when you struggle to finish the rep, it's when you cannot physically finish the rep. So for example, if you're doing that with leg extensions, you might get up to 20 reps. So you would then be like, okay, well, to minus 2 to 3 reps from that failure would be 17 to 18 reps. Okay, that's quite a lot of volume. And I just want to kind of get in, get out, and I want to be aiming for that 8 to 12 rep range. So you would then go, okay, let's increase the weight. And another thing that's important is, obviously we've got our resistance training, but we also want to be making sure we're doing some cardiovascular training as well. Not only will this help increase our energy output, but it's really important that we look after our heart. We don't want to look good and feel shit and we're getting puffed going up the stairs. We want to be looking good, feeling good. So we want to incorporate some cardio, whether this is on the Stairmaster, whether this is an incline walk, whether this is a run, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we are incorporating some cardiovascular training, but also make sure that we are doing that with intention as well. So we don't want to be so intense in zone 4, zone 5, where we're just getting really, really tired, especially when our energy is lower. That can slow down recovery, but it can also lead to increased hunger and increased tiredness, which means things like our NEAT activity, which is so important, then takes a hit. So we want to be looking at like that zone 1, zone 2 training, but we actually want to make sure we are in that zone 1, zone 2 training. Don't just be below it. So if you're just walking and plodding along, your heart isn't actually working, we're not training that muscle. So just make sure that we are training with the right intensity and intention when we are weightlifting and when we're doing our cardiovascular training. And I'd just like to add that if you are doing that, it's really important to stick to a program, doing the same exercises each week, the thing that where you see the most results. So I made a huge mistake when I first started my journey. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of videos because like back then, like not many people did have fitness accounts. You didn't really record yourself that much. And then I deleted the ones that I did have because I was embarrassed and I was like, why did I do that? So if you're starting your journey, record and do not be embarrassed, because you are one day going to go, wow, I'm so proud of myself. Like, even though I was a personal trainer, when I first started my journey, I wasn't actually following a plan, and I was like, why am I not seeing results? Why am I not getting stronger? Why am I not getting leaner? Why am I not building muscle? Why am I not losing fat? And it's because I was just picking fancy little workouts that I randomly saw on Instagram and just would give it a go. But when I truly saw amazing results was when I stuck to a plan, and the same applies with my clients. They see amazing results in their strength and their body composition because they stick to a plan. The next thing that I want to go through, if you are saying to yourself, I am in a calorie deficit but I'm not seeing results, is I want you to ask yourself, how are you measuring your progress? How often are you reviewing it? And how many measures are you using? So a mistake I see time and time again is people will say, I'm not seeing progress, but they are only weighing themselves. They've taken no progress photos and they're weighing themselves maybe once a week or maybe once a month, and therefore they feel disheartened, they feel like they're working hard, and they feel like they're not seeing results. And the truth is, with such little check-in points, you're not giving yourself the time to reflect, make adjustments quick enough, or if you are doing everything right and actually seeing results, if you're just weighing yourself, the scale can show us so many different things depending on so many different factors. So we might not actually be recognizing the results that we're seeing. So it's really important. Firstly, how are you feeling? Do you feel better? Do you feel more confident? Because how we feel is the most important factor. Number 2 is make sure we're taking progress photos. Make sure these progress photos are good and in a controlled manner. I have actually gone through what your progress photos should be like in the first episode, so do make sure you go back to that if you haven't already, to make sure that you are following the step-by-step process of how to take those progress photos and when you should be taking them. The next thing, if you are using a weight measurement, you need to be taking a daily weight to get an average. These need to be fasted and in a controlled manner as well. If you are taking them just once a month, there are so many different factors that could play a part in that. We can gain a kilogram overnight, but that does not mean that we have gained a kilogram of body fat. And as important are weight measurements and progress photos, it is also really important to focus on how you are feeling. Has your fitness improved? Can you walk up the stairs now without getting completely out of breath? Do you feel good in your clothes? Is your skin looking better? Don't forget to look a little bit outside of what the science is and how we're actually feeling. How are we sleeping? How's our energy levels? How's our productivity? What are our concentration levels like? Don't forget to look at those as measures of success and progress as well. Next thing I want you to ask yourself, if you're maybe somebody that says I'm sticking to a calorie deficit but I'm not seeing results, is how long have you actually given yourself? Are you giving up too soon? Matter of fact is people will try for 2 to 4 weeks where motivation is high and then they will drop off because they feel like they're not seeing results. But we need to give ourselves a little bit of time. Do not get me wrong, in those 2 to 4 weeks, you might not see huge body composition changes, but you will be feeling so much better. If you're sticking to a plan for the first time in ages, you'll be seeing strength improving, you'll be seeing your energy levels going up, your skin will be feeling better, your health will be having a positive impact. In my 5 weeks alone, I'm going to cut at the moment, 5 weeks alone, I've started to see my resting heart rate go down, my heart rate variability is increasing, and I am feeling more energetic and stronger in the gym. But unfortunately, most people expect to see the body composition changes in 2 to 4 weeks. And the reality is it has taken more than 2 to 4 weeks to get into the position where you're in now, where you're wanting to lose a little bit. It's really important to remember that fat loss is a biological process. Our body has to be in a calorie deficit, and we have to mobilize stored fat, break it down, transport it, and then use it for energy. And this process doesn't happen overnight. So something I see people do is they'll go, I've stuck to my calorie deficit all week, or I stuck to my calorie deficit yesterday and the scale hasn't moved. Give it time. Sometimes our progress lags a little bit, and then we get that whoosh effect where we're like, oh my goodness, you wake up and you're like, wow, I can see all that change, I can see all that progress. So I want you to think of your plan and your fat loss journey like planting a seed. When we plant a seed, the first thing to grow are the roots, and we don't actually see those roots. But just because we can't see it, it doesn't mean that growth and change isn't happening. And then suddenly one day, you get a little shoot. And then before you know it, you've got petals and flowers. So give yourself time. Do not give up on yourself, because you're only going to end up in the same position or worse. So please give yourself time, follow the program through, stick to it, even when it gets hard. And that's why sometimes it's really useful to have a coach, to have somebody kind of give you a little pep talk, motivate you, spur you on, and actually reassure you that those roots will be growing. We're just waiting for that shoot to come through. All right, last but absolutely not least, if you are sticking to your calorie deficit, you're not seeing results, you feel like you're doing everything, you're tracking, you're hitting the gym, you're doing the steps, but you're missing out on these 2 things, this could be why you're not seeing results. Ignoring your recovery. And what I mean by that is, are you taking steps to manage your sleep and your stress? But this is why sleep and stress needs to be managed, especially when we're in a fat loss phase. When sleep is poor and stress is high, cortisol levels will increase. And this can cause a few things. Number 1, water retention, which sometimes masks itself as looking like you've gained weight or you've gained fat, but it is just like a little bit of water retention in your cells. Poor sleep or increased stress can also impact our hunger levels, so it can play a little bit of havoc with our ghrelin and leptin, which are our hunger and fullness hormones, which basically signals to our body that we're hungry, we need to eat, or it signals to our body that we've eaten enough, I'm full now. Multiple studies have shown that even one night of poor sleep can lead to an increase of 200 to 500 calories consumed that day. That is enough to throw us out of our deficit. We really need to make sure that we are taking steps to manage our sleep and manage our stress. Just to recap, if you're saying, I'm doing everything right but nothing is working, ask yourself the following few questions. How accurately are you tracking your data right now? Are you training with the right intention and intensity? Are you measuring progress enough? Have you given the program enough time? And how are you managing your sleep and stress levels? So if it feels like nothing is working right now, do not press the panic button, and absolutely do not press that give up button. Instead, zoom out and start to be a little bit more curious about what it is that you're doing. There is no judgment, no shame, and no guilt attached to this. This is just simply being curious, being mindful, and being self-aware and taking a moment to reflect on what's going on right now. There's no such thing as failure, it is only feedback. If this has helped, don't forget to hit the like button and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm more than happy to help. Feel free to check out my other episodes in my series about meal prepping and how to get started on your calorie deficit. And if there's a video that you would like to see next that you think would be useful, let me know. And I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope to see you smashing your results. Bye for now.